While Street Fighter II may have revolutionized the fighting game genre in terms of mechanics and gameplay, it was really Mortal Kombat that perfected the formula of character design, personality, and style. As such, there are many interesting facts, stories, and occurrences behind the development of Mortal Kombat that are incredibly interesting. They became renowned for leaving hints for secrets that often weren't there, while certain appearances had incredibly hard or difficult conditions to meet. You have to remember as well, back in those days, these secrets weren't widely known, and when they were known, many people didn't know how to access them because you didn't have the beauty of the internet. I'm Jess from WhatCulture, and here are 10 things you didn't know about Mortal Kombat. Number 10. Mortal Kombat's violence led to the ESRB rating system. When Mortal Kombat first hit the gaming scene, it became an instant hit due to its gore, intense violence, and adult themes, which immediately distinguished it as an edgier and more adult-orientated product. The use of blood in the fatality system caused a massive controversy as talk of the game reached parents who were concerned about the kind of message it could bestow on their children. This pushing of the boundary led to a conversation over whether content in video games would need to be regulated. In 1994, the Entertainment Software Rating Board was established to forewarn parents about the kind of content which was in a game, before they purchased it for their children. This primary concern grew due to Mortal Kombat's shattering of taboos, with its inherently brutal and bloody persona. It triggered a side to the video game industry which hadn't really been explored prior, most likely due to the fear of backlash it might create, just as Mortal Kombat did. Ultimately, the ESRB revolution was a really good thing, as it meant that developers no longer needed to censor their games like they'd had to do with Mortal Kombat 2. Number 9. Mortal Kombat 1 was made by a team of 4 people. The original Mortal Kombat had a fairly small roster with 7 playable characters, only a few stages, and it was produced in a brief development period of 10 months. As groundbreaking and controversial as the game was, it wasn't intended to be such a landmark release. Midway originally approached the team with the task of, quote, turning around a fighting game in the next year. The game's budget and production team was incredibly minimal, with only 4 people on staff. It's astounding that such a revolutionary title was made by such a small team. Co-creator Ed Boon said, "The first Mortal Kombat game was 4 guys, literally. 1 programmer, myself, 2 graphics guys, and a sound guy. That was the entire team." A 4-man team producing a game as impressive as Mortal Kombat is truly an astounding feat. Number 8. Jax was originally designed as a kickboxer called Curtis Stryker. Mortal Kombat's mechanically enhanced hero Jax was originally envisioned as a kickboxer called Curtis Stryker. This design was scrapped because it was too similar to characters that already existed in Street Fighter at the time, such as Balrog, DJ, and Sagat. Curtis Stryker was also set to make a debut in Mortal Kombat 1, in a slot that eventually went to Mortal Kombat's first female character, Sonya Blade. Ed Boon felt like the roster desperately needed a female character, as at that time, every single fighter was male. This is why Jax debuted in Mortal Kombat 2 as Sonya's partner, as her position in the story as an agent for Earthrealm was originally planned to be Jax's role, until he was replaced. While Jax as a kickboxer was scrapped, the name was recycled and given to the police officer we now know as Stryker, who appeared in Mortal Kombat 3 and onwards. This redesign makes sense as there was already enough pure martial artists like Kung Lao and Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat, whereas Jax's character and military background gives a much-needed contrast. Number 7. Cyrax and Sector were originally called Mustard and Ketchup. Cyrax and Sector are an example of color-swapped characters, a cost-saving measure to create more characters without needing to create a whole new look. While Sub-Zero's blue is obviously a reference to ice and water, and Reptile's green is akin to that of a lizard, Cyrax and Sector were originally given more of a direct association to the colors of red and yellow. In early test footage of Mortal Kombat 3, the 2 robots were known respectively as Mustard and Ketchup. Mustard and Ketchup sounds like an appropriate name for a show on Cartoon Network, rather than a pair of deadly androids in one of the most brutal video games ever made. While this is amusing, it's easy to see why they eventually gave the robotic duo different names, as condiments are obviously a reference to the modern-day world, while Mortal Kombat seems to take place in a dystopian future, clearly unrelated from our idea of society. This name is also referenced in Sector's moveset in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance and Armageddon, where he can do a move called Ketchup's Revenge. Number 6. Hidden messages in Mortal Kombat Deception. Mortal Kombat Deception was the first entry in the series to feature a completely open world in the form of Conquest Mode. The player would roam each realm of the MK universe as Shujinko, a traveler and student who dreams of learning each of the realm's true fighting styles so he can defeat Shang Tsung. This expansive environment gave Midway an opportunity to hide even more Easter eggs and secrets than ever before. As Shujinko makes his way across the Chaos Realm and the Nether Realm, some of the inhabitants seem to speak in an unusual garbled language. This audio is actually normal speech played backwards, much like a recording running in reverse, which is often said to sound like demonic or satanic messages. The messages in question were actually very innocent in this circumstance, with the NPCs saying things like, "I am talking backwards, spooky, isn't it? Drink milk, get plenty of sleep, listen to your parents, and do your homework." And then most amusingly, if you've managed to decode this, you have too much time on your hands. Number 5. Noob Saibot in Mortal Kombat 3 is a blackened Kano sprite. In Mortal Kombat's early days, it became known for palette-swapping versions of characters in order to fill out its roster. More specifically, the Ninja or Lin Kuei sprites have featured in a multitude of different colors. In Mortal Kombat 3, yet another secret boss character made his first appearance as a playable character in the form of Noob Saibot. Noob Saibot's sprite is almost pitch black, causing many to assume he was yet another easy palette swap of the Ninja clan of characters who frequently appear in Mortal Kombat. The standard version of Mortal Kombat 3 didn't actually feature any ninja characters, so no sprites were included in the game's directory, meaning Noob Saibot couldn't possibly be a ninja. The actual truth is that Noob Saibot is a silhouette of a Kano sprite, and this becomes very apparent when you check out his moveset, which just consists of Kano's strikes and combos. This was changed in the release of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Number 4. In Mortal Kombat 2, you can play Pong. One of the most bizarre Easter eggs is the ability to play Pong in Mortal Kombat 2. To trigger the game, as long as you're playing in arcade versions, 2 players must endure a total of 250 consecutive matches. Upon finishing the 250th match, a stranger message will appear. The message reads, "You have reached the outer limits of the tournament. Now you must both face a challenge from your past." The screen is then occupied with a classic game of Pong, with the only difference being a toasty soundbite from MK sound designer Dan Forden, which plays after each successful goal. After a player reaches 7 points, Pong will end and you'll go back to your regularly scheduled Mortal Kombat. Number 3. Fan rumors led to the creation of Ermac. Midway's reputation for putting secret characters in the Mortal Kombat series started with the origin of Reptile. Reptile was a hidden boss character who you could only fight in the first installment. In certain versions of the original arcade game, the audit screen showed a listing for Ermac just under the value for Reptile. Naturally, fans associated the two terms together and assumed that Ermac was a secret character. Rumors began to imply that Ermac could be discovered, further perpetuated by an issue of Electronic Gaming Monthly, in which a fan had written in with image proof of Ermac's apparent existence, which was never confirmed by any other source. 2 different methods for making him appear became popular lore. The first was to get a double flawless victory against a human opponent on the stage known as Warrior Shrine, while another said that Scorpion's costume would randomly glitch and turn red whilst playing on certain console versions. Midway addressed the rumors with scrambled messages saying things like Ermac who and Ermac does not exist in Mortal Kombat 2. Later, Ed Boon disclosed that the Ermac entry on the audit screen simply stands for Error Macros, a debug mode which is used to stop the game from crashing. Midway decided to play with the fans again and make the myth a reality, with Ermac's appearance as a playable character in console editions of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Number 2. Rain was originally a red herring in arcade versions of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. After many rumors of secret characters like Ermac and Scarlet had surfaced, the developers decided to have a little fun at your expense with Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. In the arcade cabinet's trailer footage, a few seconds of a character called Rain can be seen fighting Shao Kahn. Many fan theories began to circulate once again regarding the purple Lin Kuei, but ultimately no method for finding or seeing Rain came true. It was simply a prank by Midway as a laugh at the fans. Due to how widely discussed the rumors and speculation of Rain had become, he was included in the console version of Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 as a playable character. Now, there'd been all this hype about who Rain was, what his moveset was going to be, and how he fit into the Mortal Kombat universe, but it turns out the origins are actually pretty simple. His purple costume and name are widely regarded as a subtle reference to the 6th studio album by recording artist Prince, known as Purple Rain. Number 1. Mortal Kombat 1 was originally planned as an adaptation of Universal Soldier. Mortal Kombat turned the fighting game genre on its head when it debuted the use of digitized human models as opposed to animated sprites. The use of digitized models was mainly proposed as a concept because in early development, Mortal Kombat was originally supposed to be a game adaptation of the 1992 film Universal Soldier, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. The idea was to implement characters directly from images of the actors who portrayed the characters in the film, so that the digitized imagery could retain a huge degree of resemblance and likeness, which would have looked more authentic compared to anything that could have been done with graphics in 1991. The adaptation deal fell through because allegedly Van Damme's schedule was too busy for him to be able to do the game. The production team had gotten quite far in development and decided to continue on with the project. A reference to this can be found in the form of Johnny Cage's first appearance in Mortal Kombat, which bears a striking resemblance to Jean-Claude Van Damme in 1988's Bloodsport. That's the end of our list, but let me know down in that comment section if you can think of any other Mortal Kombat factoids that we may have forgotten. As always, I've been Jess from WhatCulture. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Make sure you come say hi to me on my Twitter account if you like, where I'm at Jess McDonald. But stay tuned to us here for plenty more gaming goodness.